All right. Time to unlock some of those pyramid secrets. You guys
Yeah.
have sent in some really cool stuff on these ancient wonders, and I'm ready to jump in with our expert. I mean, everyone knows what pyramids are, but I don't know, there's just something about them, don't you think?
Yeah.
Thousands of years later, and we're still captivated by this mix of facts and theories.
And those enduring mysteries.
Right. It's like this puzzle that never gets old.
It's that mix that makes them so compelling, you know? Like, we're always trying to figure out what we think we know versus what the evidence actually shows. A perfect example, that whole idea of pyramids built by armies of slaves
Yeah.
under a cruel pharaoh.
That's the classic Hollywood image, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're all sweating and groaning, dragging these giant stones while some guy's cracking a whip.
Yeah. But our sources, they're pointing to a different reality, a much more nuanced picture.
Okay, so what are we talking about then?
Excavations near the pyramids. Turns out, they've uncovered entire worker villages. Not just like makeshift camps, but organized living spaces. Signs of planning, care. Doesn't really fit that whole slave narrative, does it?
So, more like a skilled workforce then. I think some of the sources mentioned finding evidence of decent food, even like leisure activities.
Exactly. Think about it. To build something that massive, that intricate, you'd need serious skill coordination. You wouldn't just throw anyone at that, right?
Right.
These were specialized teams, craftspeople, laborers, and most likely well compensated. We even have evidence of payment records.
Whoa, okay, so that completely changes things. Instead of forced labor, we're seeing a workforce that's actually invested in the project. Maybe even like driven by something more, I don't know, spiritual.
That's the thing about the ancient Egyptians. They had this profoundly different relationship with death than, say, many cultures today. They viewed it as a transformation, like a journey to the afterlife. And for the pharaoh, that journey, huge significance.
Right.
It involved ascending to join the gods and continuing to rule, but in the next realm.
And the pyramids were key to that, weren't they? More than just fancy tombs, they were vehicles for this spiritual ascent.
Exactly. And that shape,
Yeah.
the pyramid shape, it wasn't random. Those sloping sides, they were designed to mimic the sun's rays, which
right.
in Egyptian belief, the sun was the ultimate symbol of life, power, rebirth. They believed the pyramid would guide the pharaoh's soul towards the heavens, to that realm of the divine.
So they were using the power of the sun symbolically to ensure the pharaoh's power continued, even in death. Fascinating.
Absolutely. And don't forget, just building a pyramid was this monumental undertaking. Resources, manpower, huge display of the pharaoh's power, influence, solidifying their legacy,
Right.
ensuring their reign even in the afterlife.
It's like a giant architectural exclamation point declaring the pharaoh's divine status for all time. But beyond the practical and political stuff, I remember our sources mention a connection to Egyptian creation myths, too.
Oh yeah, that's where it gets even deeper, symbol-wise. The ancient Egyptians had this myth about Atum, the self-created god, emerging from the primordial waters, standing on the first mound of creation. They saw that pyramid shape as mirroring that mound, like the beginning of the world, order out of chaos.
Wow, so the pharaoh's journey through the pyramid mirrored the creation myth itself. They were, in a sense, being reborn into this state of divine order.
It's this brilliant mix of symbolism and practicality. I mean, the shape wasn't just pretty, it was genius engineering.
Right.
Stability, longevity. That's why so many are still standing thousands of years later.
Yeah.
They weren't just built to house the pharaoh's remains. They were built to last.
What a testament to a civilization that thought on such a grand scale. Blending art, engineering, spirituality still amazes us. Speaking of engineering, how did they even come up with that iconic shape? Like, did they just wake up one day and decide to build a giant triangle?
No. Like most things, it evolved over time. The earliest hints, we see them in structures called mastabas.
Okay.
Flat-roofed rectangular tombs, sloping sides. Used during the early dynastic period. They had that stairway to heaven concept, but early version.
So the mastaba was the first step, literally, to the pyramid.
Exactly. Then, around 2670 BCE, pivotal moment. Construction of the step pyramid of Djoser. Revolutionary design.
Oh, yay.
Brainchild of this brilliant architect, Imhotep. He basically stacked multiple mastabas, decreasing size on top of each other, creating a stepped structure, reaching towards the sky.
So Imhotep took that stairway to heaven and turned it vertical.
Exactly. This wasn't just aesthetic. It was a huge conceptual leap. Forever changed Egyptian architecture. Established the pyramid as the dominant form for royal tombs. set the stage for the grander, smooth-sided pyramids.
Like the Great Pyramid of Giza, right? The most iconic one. But that shift from step to smooth-sided is interesting. Was it just stylistic or something more?
Still debated, even among scholars. Some say it refined the symbolic meaning. Others point to engineering advancements, smoother, more stable structures. Probably a combo, but the exact reasons, bit of a mystery.
Which makes it even more intriguing. We've covered a lot, but there's still so much to uncover. How did they actually build these things? I'm ready to dig into those engineering marvels in our next segment. Okay, so we know now that the pyramids were built by skilled laborers and driven by this whole mix of religious beliefs and political ambition. But how did they actually do it? We're talking millions of massive stone blocks perfectly cut, all without modern machinery.
Yeah, it's still something that inspires awe and debate. I mean, the scale of it all, it's mind-boggling. Quarrying those stones, transporting them, lifting them. Some of them weighing over 50 tons, and they did it with, what, copper tools and manpower?
Yeah. Well, the sources did mention ramps being a big part of it all, but I'm guessing we're not talking about, like, a couple planks of wood, right?
No. Think more like massive earthen ramps, possibly even brick structures, maybe even spiraling around the pyramid as it grew taller.
Wow.
These would allow them to haul those stones up, probably using a combo of sleds, rollers, levers, ropes, and of course a whole lot of people.
Sounds like a mega construction project within a construction project. Just building the ramps themselves must have been a huge undertaking.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And even though the ramp theory is pretty much accepted, the details, those are still up for debate.
Okay, so like what specifically?
Well, what kind of ramps were they? Straight, spiraling. How did they move those super heavy blocks up them? How did they get them placed so precisely? Stuff like that. Archaeologists and engineers are still working on it.
And then, of course, there are the other theories. The ones that really get people going. Lost civilizations, some ancient tech we've forgotten, even aliens. I'll admit, it's kind of tempting to think that maybe the Egyptians had some secret knowledge or help from,
Yeah.
beings not of this earth.
It's easy to get drawn in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're looking at something as seemingly impossible as the pyramids. But gotta stick to the evidence, not just speculation.
Fair enough. So back to what we can reasonably figure out. Even with ramps and a skilled workforce, the precision they achieved is still mind-blowing. Like the Great Pyramid's alignment with the cardinal points, it's almost perfect. How'd they pull that off?
Well, it shows their understanding of astronomy for sure.
Yeah.
They probably used several techniques, maybe careful observation of the stars, like the circumpolar ones,
Okay.
the ones that never set.
Yeah.
By tracking those over time, you could figure out true north very accurately.
I think our sources also mentioned a much simpler method, something about a stick and shadows.
Ah, the gnomon. It's a surprisingly simple but effective method. You basically track the length and direction of the shadow cast by a vertical stick at different times. That helps you figure out the solstices, the equinoxes.
Okay.
And from there, you can calculate true north.
So whether they were using fancy astronomical calculations or clever tricks with shadows, the result is undeniable. I mean, that level of precision, it's hard to even imagine doing that today.
Right.
It makes you wonder, are there more secrets hidden inside the pyramids themselves? Like undiscovered chambers or passages?
It's possible. And in recent decades, technology has been really helpful in exploring that. Things like ground-penetrating radar, muon tomography.
Muon tomography. Sounds pretty high-tech. Is that like an X-ray for pyramids?
Kinda, yeah. Muons are these subatomic particles raining down on Earth from space all the time. They can pass through solid objects, so by measuring how many muons pass through different parts of a structure,
Okay.
we can create a density map, basically, that can reveal chambers or voids inside.
So we're still making new discoveries about the pyramids even after all this time. That's incredible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And each new discovery helps us refine our understanding of their construction and purpose. Speaking of purpose, we've talked about the religious significance, the tomb aspect, the connection to creation myths. But some folks think there might have been other functions at play as well, like maybe they were also used as astronomical observatories.
So the pyramids might be more than just tombs, like ancient astronomical instruments lining up with specific stars.
There are some interesting alignments that have been pointed out. For example, the air shafts in the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid, they seem to be aligned with certain stars. Some researchers think maybe they served a symbolic purpose, maybe even a practical one related to astronomy.
That's amazing. It just keeps getting more and more complex. So we've got these incredible monuments built by skilled laborers aligned with the stars, embodying these profound beliefs and maybe even serving multiple purposes. What else could these ancient wonders be hiding?
Well, there are even more, shall we say, speculative theories out there. Some suggesting that the pyramids might have been ancient energy generators or that they had some sort of mystical power.
Now that's getting into the really unknown. While it's definitely fun to think about, I guess it's best to stick to what we can reasonably figure out from the evidence.
Exactly. While those ideas can be pretty intriguing, they don't always have the concrete evidence to back them up. I mean, the pyramids are already extraordinary enough without adding supernatural powers or lost technology to the mix, don't you think?
You've got a point. Their real power lies in their scale, how long they've stood, and what they tell us about a civilization from thousands of years ago. It really makes you think. Even with all our technology and advancements, we're still trying to piece together the puzzle of these ancient wonders. It's wild to think, after centuries of people studying them, we're still finding new things about the pyramids, challenging what we thought we knew, still sparking our curiosity.
It's that mix, isn't it? The scientific inquiry and the mystery that just won't quit.
Yeah.
It keeps them so captivating.
It really reminds you that even now, with all our tech and everything, there's still a ton we don't know about the past. And that sense of wonder, wanting to explore and understand, I bet the ancient Egyptians would have been right there with us. I mean, they were master observers of the cosmos, right? Always looking for that connection to the divine.
Yeah, their worldview was so different from ours. But what they accomplished, it still speaks to us, The pyramids are like this testament to their ingenuity, their art, their ability to just dream up these massive projects and actually pull them off. We still struggle to wrap our heads around it today.
Makes you wonder what was going through their minds, the people who designed these things, who built them. What did they want to achieve? What message did they want to send to, I don't know, the future?
I think part of it has got to be the sheer permanence of the pyramids. They're meant to last, like forever, outlast anything, be these symbols of the pharaoh's power, the continuation of their civilization.
And I'd say mission accomplished. They've stood for thousands of years, seen empires rise and fall, inspired who knows how many artists, writers, explorers. People still flock to see them from all over. It's a powerful reminder, that we're part of something much bigger, a story that goes back so far.
And that's a big takeaway from all this, I think. The pyramids aren't just relics of the past. They reflect us, our fascination with history, trying to figure out our place in the universe.
It's been a journey. We've debunked some myths, dug into some cool facts, explored some of the mysteries that just seem to hang around these ancient wonders.
Yeah.
But I think it's those unanswered questions, the things we don't know, that keep the pyramids alive in our imagination.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of it, right? The search for knowledge never really ends. We're always discovering, reinterpreting. The pyramids are proof of that. Always more to learn, more to find, more to be in awe of.
So, as we wrap up our pyramid deep dive, we want to leave you with something to think about. If you could go back in time, ask the ancient Egyptians just one question about the pyramids, what would it be?
What secrets do you think they'd reveal?
Let that question spark your imagination, fuel your curiosity. The pyramids are waiting to be explored, and who knows what incredible discoveries are still out there.
Exactly.
Until next time, keep those minds curious and keep exploring.